where do you see justice and care and everyday action moving forward and throughout the rest of 2021 and beyond?
So if we're just looking at 2021, I know for me is my approach tends to be a little bit of like a stepwise approach, and thinking a little bit about, taking opportunities, but not rushing the process. And I think that is actually pretty similar to like the work that we're trying to do with organizations is if you're going to do this right, like you need to make sure you're pacing yourself and just not jumping in before things are sort of set. And I know for me, just personally, I kind of take that approach in terms of, any piece of work that I'm a part of. And so I know for me, thinking about opportunities that we currently have that we know we'll be working on in 2021 with different universities, being able to devote the time toward that, but then also thinking about how do we begin to disseminate out the word of what we are doing. And so thinking about you go back to your last question, think about the presence online and what does that look like from a website perspective, from a social media platform perspective, because that's where a lot of folks are. And so looking really in 2021 to kind of start to expand almost like the brand of what we do so that we have opportunities to be able to provide our services to organizations who might need it. And I realize that like we've sort of talked about this, Dr. Lewis, but I would love to hear, any other things that you're kind of thinking about too.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, but also not just for organizations or individuals to be like, oh, that was a great presentation, or that was interesting. Like, what are you taking away? And I'm really interested in down the line, creating curriculum, working with organizations or individuals. Like, what does that justice and care and everyday action actually look like in their practice? So some type of, workbook planning, et cetera, whatever you want to call it, but not just like a one shot, like, oh, they came, it was interesting, I didn't fall asleep, all right, I'm done. I've done my DEI, or I've done my justice and equity, or, I get a checkbox. I want it to be more than a checkbox type of activity, but really just this long-standing commitment. And I would hope that whoever is, inviting us in is really making a commitment to do justice and equity work, not just we spent the budget, this is what we did, right? So actually seeing what that commitment looks like with whoever we're working with, and hoping that it helps them to grow in a positive direction.